Good morning and welcome to the Experience Live with Russ and Scott here on this Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. PDT. We're so glad you're joining us today. Want to do a big, huge shout out to our sponsors today, Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer and their live conference coming up October 3rd through 5th in Garrison, New York. Tendy Tech, if you need cybersecurity, they are your go-to. James Reed Insurance in Salem and the Willamette Valley. They do amazing work with churches and amazing businesses. And Christine Smith and Aspects of Aging and the Aging Better Network. So thankful for her. And now let's get started with Russ and Scott. Here we go. Hey,
good morning,
there
Russ.
we are. Woohoo!
I forgot to make the video for September for our sponsors, so Russ was able to voice it, and we're on a little later. But thank you to our guests for being patient with us.
We are so thankful for patient guests. That is absolutely for sure. And Scott, I'm just so grateful. No big deal. Things happen. We know that I've done the wrong intros on shows. Things happen. Life happens, and then you choose, right?
Hey, that's a good title for a book, by the way.
I know. That might be amazing. You know, Andrew, our guest today, has been looking into you and I and has been reading Befuddled and also watching interviews that you did. And so we're excited to have him on. But I'm excited, besides my book behind me, Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose, and my anthology books I've done, I'm coming out with the follow-up finally for Befuddled this winter. Thanks to my good friend D. Scott Smith for helping me. And there it is. Life happens and then you choose. So excited to get that out. I'm in the final part of edit phase number 1. And we're going to get that book out. I'm really excited. So we're going to have a big, big release party. Lots of good things are happening. So super excited about that. But Scott, what do you got going on today?
Well, it's fun because I got a little sneak preview into the book through the editing side. So I'm grateful for that. And this week, I just took my wife to the airport. She's going to be 2 weeks in Oregon. And so I told her I wasn't looking forward to her being gone, but I'm glad that she's going to be there celebrating her mother's 94th birthday. Our little daughter will be turning 27, and our oldest just turned 29. So
wow,
there you go.
Crazy, amazing. Yeah. That is just, I tell you, life moves so fast. My amazing, wonderful mother-in-law and father-in-law. My father-in-law is 90. My mother-in-law will be 90 this December. And so, yes, I tell you, life moves along quickly.
Absolutely. And speaking of moving along, if people would like to join us here, they can go to local.theexperience.video. That's a website that's got links to our YouTube channel where you can subscribe. It's got Russ's current book. It's got one of my books. It's got our LinkedIn profiles. We'd love to connect with you. And if you subscribe to our channel, also let us know your YouTube channel because we'd love to reciprocate. It only takes 100 followers on YouTube to be in like the top 10% of YouTube's globally. So let's help each other out.
That's right. And you can, besides local.theexperience.video, everybody, you go directly to our YouTube page. If you just want to jump there and subscribe to the experience.video, be happy for you to do that. And also want to remind everybody that we are here every Wednesday at 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time and 9 a.m. Texas Standard Time for your viewing and listening pleasure. That's right. Not only do we broadcast on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, but we also converts to audio podcast. So then it goes out on Spotify and you can listen if you don't have time to watch it. And we would love for you to do that. And it's going to be an amazing day, Scott. My beautiful daughter just brought me coffee, so I am good to go. The show is ready. Let's get Andrew in to get this party started. Hey, Andrew.
Hello, hello. Great to see you, Russ and Scott.
Hey, Andrew. It's great to have you here. Let's get an overview. What is going on in Andrew's world?
Well, today I'm outside of my element visiting my dad, but it's all good. Found a way to make it happen. Found a quiet room. And I guess I'll start with what's most passionate to me, which is photography and also helping people with their entire backup strategy. Because as someone who has lost quite a few files, videos, other important documents way back in the day, I learned systems and strategies so that I could first help myself and then help hundreds of my students and clients over the years to protect their phones, their computers, make sure they have a proper external hard drive set up, make sure their cloud backup is set up properly, make sure they have a battery backup if that's something that works for them. So that's really what I've been doing primarily. That's what I feel is my mission. And every time I get a chance to tell people, at least back up your LinkedIn, please, I'm happy to be able to be out here and speak with people like both of you.
Well, I don't think people realize how important that is. Those elements, as far as making sure that things are covered and all that. So how did you get into all that? I mean, let's back up a little bit. Where did you come from? How did you move into where you are today?
Okay, well, my dad has always been interested in photography. So I remember when he would sometimes have his slides and put them into the projector. And you gentlemen probably at the age where you remember the slideshows with the carousels and, they put up the projector screen. And that was really something. And then in elementary school, we went to Washington, D.C., and I brought a camera, and I thought that was really cool to be able to capture moments. But then I stepped into the darkroom in high school, and I was absolutely hooked. I started taking pictures for the school yearbook, school newspaper. And then in my senior year, I had an opportunity to apply for a scholarship to live and study in Japan for a summer. So I received that. I went off to Japan. A wonderful family took me in. I had a homestay brother and sister and mom and dad, and saw so many beautiful places, went to Japanese high school, and everywhere I went, I took my point and shoot film camera. Of course, this is 1988, and just came back with like 30 to 50 rolls of film. And that taught me, when I started making prints and albums and telling stories related to my trip, I realized the power of photography. And even though I didn't know quite how I was going to get from there to here, I found a way. So it's been really exciting.
It's a lot easier to back up with digital than it was the paper. I remember we actually took the proofs from our wedding and put them in the safe deposit box at the bank. Because when I was in the Air Force, I was just about 3 months into the Air Force. Our house out in the country burned to the foundation.
Wow.
And so we lost a lot of photos and things like that. So we kept them. We kept copies in the safe deposit box. So you mentioned some of the different ways to save photos and back them up. Give us a little deeper insight into what people can do.
Sure, absolutely. Well, there's a whole system strategy, just like a lot of people have a life strategy. Like, in your book, Russ, you have like a life strategy. And if you take everything into account, your computer, your phone, and your social media, for example, those are just three main ones, then you can start to build out a system. And I have something called the backup blueprint. And it's like just a visual thing that anyone can get when they visit my site. And it just gives you a whole overview of everything. And I would say where to start. Well, if you have a computer that's not a laptop and you plug it into a wall right now or a surge suppressor, I would highly recommend looking into uninterruptible power supplies, which is a UPS. And there is low cost as like $70. So that's just a starting point where we've all experienced flickers or brownouts or blackouts, and one of those can take out all of your data, and that's so sad. So that's where I would start, and then from there I would look at things like your external hard drives. Then there's always questions, what kind and all that, how big and all that. Most people cannot fit what they want on their laptop or even on their desktop, so they'll need an external hard drive. Then you would want to manage that and maybe get another one, which is called a mirror, so that every day it's just copying over whatever's there. And then you may want to have a third one so that it's like not connected to your computer in case of this crazy thing called ransomware or all kinds of other things that can happen. So those are kind of just the starting point. And then the Hail Mary, if you will, the thing that really saves so many people's bacon is an online backup. And my favorite one is called Backblaze.
Well, I mean, I would not be able to survive with all of the video and pictures that we do. And that, of course, my hashtag Russ selfies, my phone is like crazy full. So I have backup on Apple. I've got Dropbox. I have hard drives that I have information on. So I try to do as much backing up as I can, because you're right. It is important to have those things there. And I tell you, nowadays, my beautiful wife will print some pictures every now and then, like my son's wedding or our vacation as a family, but we only print a few things. So we don't have tons of really good shots if we don't have those digital photos. And so I think it's so important to do that. And I was just thinking about what you said too, Scott. I may need to give that some thought, because I have all of my dad's and mom's side of the family pictures in our attic. And if anything was to ever happen, I would lose my grandfathers, my grandmothers, my moms and dads, and our growing up as a kid. I have all of that up there. So
I have a friend I can introduce you to that'll give you some tips.
Yeah, I know.
Meet Russ.
I've heard.
Russ.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
what's Russ going to do with all those paper pictures?
Okay, well, let's address that. In fact, I'm helping another client do that right now. He's like, I have so many of these 4x6, sometimes up to 8x10-inch prints, and as long as they're not like all stuck together and are so fragile that you can't put them through sort of like a snap scan. Everyone knows those. I think it's Fujitsu snap scans. There's actually a high volume, high quality scanner from Epson that you could potentially rent, because if you're only going to do one big project, it's about $700, but maybe you can rent it, and then you just feed them through. It just goes and goes and goes and goes. Now, managing that afterward is a whole nother thing, but at least you get them into a system. The other thing is there are some apps that, let's say they're in albums, you can just have like side lighting come in, make sure it's balanced, maybe have a fill card, which is like a white piece of foam on the other side. So you have light maybe from a window over here, fill card on this side, so that it's nice and even with no glare. And then there are apps that you can take pictures either individually if you want higher quality, or like 3 or 4 or 5 or 7 at a time. And as soon as you take it, it just separates them out. It optimizes it. It creates a new file for each separate image.
Well, that's awesome. In fact, I will tell everybody a little secret. Not nearly as high quality and nearly as good as what Andrew just said. But if you're simple-minded like me, and if you're lazy and don't want to spend $700 on a thing, when you have those nostalgia days where you go into your attic and you open up the box and you start going through the pictures, what I do is I take a picture of the pictures. And I tell you, I can get pretty good shots of the pictures. And so that I've got a lot. In fact, up on my wall right now, I'm looking at a couple pictures of pictures that actually turned out really good. And at least you have something. So number one, I would say do what Andrew said. But if you just don't have the time or the money, take some pictures of your pictures. So at least you have a copy of that, right, Scott?
I like this idea of backing up these paper ones. And Andrew, that's good tips about the glare, especially. So many of those old photos are shiny, right? I mean, just when you look at them and you start taking those pictures, they just look terrible. So it sounds like there's some better technology out there today. And
I have a super tip. I have a super tip, which I discovered. Do either of you have an Apple Watch by any chance?
I do.
Apple Watch?
Yes.
No,
I have a Timex.
Okay, it's all good. You don't have to have one, but if you had one, in fact, you might like this tip so much that you're going to go out and buy one if you have an iPhone. But you can go to your photo app, and if you have an Apple Watch, you can set it as a shutter release. So what that means, you can just get any type of inexpensive holder for your phone. There's some of my favorites, clip on the edge of a desk, because plenty of people have desks. but there's endless opportunities. You just put it directly above, and you can frame the photograph. You always want to use you want the image to be up so that the good lenses are being used. And then you use your watch as a shutter release. So boom, maybe you have a friend, boom, boom. So nothing moves, and like you just shoot right through them. It's like a factory. You can get things done. Of course, it's going to be at one height.
Yeah, I can see this when people are coming up to the holidays. You get family together, bring those in, and make it a tradition. Just spend a little bit of time, maybe during halftime of the game, and snap a few pictures.
Absolutely.
Well, I like that. And that is way better than what I do, obviously. But, I mean, everybody has those nostalgia times. So what I would recommend is everybody listen to Andrew. And when you have those nostalgia times, set aside pictures that you want to get copies or digital copies of on top of what you have, and make sure you have backups for those, because I'm telling you, old photos are precious. And once they're gone if you don't have a backup copy of them. So yeah, I think that is so important. Well, so Andrew, when you're working with clients, is that one of the most important things you talk about for photography, or do you give them tips on how to get good pictures to start with, or do you just take them for them?
I do all of the above. For years, I've been teaching photography courses. I have 2 books just on how to take better photographs. One of them is how to take better pictures of dogs and cats. And the other one, which I have here, is called Focus and Filters, basically how to take better pictures of anything. So from sunflower fields to amusement parks. So this is just one example of something anyone can learn. Even on a phone, you can see how the background is blurred. Well, that doesn't happen just normally. If you just set most cameras to auto, that's not going to look blurred in the background. But if you learn a technique that allows you to have a longer exposure in situations like this, since you're moving at the same speed as the rest of the cars here, you can get photographs like this. And I love sharing simple but very effective tips like this.
Yeah, this is in the world of AI. Being able to actually do your own has got to feel just much more satisfying.
Yes. I really resist creating imagery from AI. I could go on and on about that. I just love to create actual photographs with a actual camera or phone. And to me, that is photography.
Yeah. Well, I think it's amazing today, Andrew, that we have cameras on us all the time. And some of these cameras on our phones now are pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm.
And, in fact, we just did something fun for my mother-in-law who loves puzzles, right? So we were just talking about this before. My mother-in-law, who's about to turn 90, her favorite pastime is doing puzzles. So we're buying her puzzles all the time. And this time we took a photograph of us at Crater Lake 2 weeks ago, and we had it made into a puzzle. And they were saying when we did it, they said, you need to make sure and have high quality photo. I just took the selfie. It's a selfie off my phone, my iPhone, and it was beautiful. I mean, it blew up, and the puzzle was about, 16 by 12, whatever. Blew up beautifully. The picture was great. The puzzle was great. So, I mean, I think a lot of times, not only if you don't have fancy equipment like Andrew, you can still do a lot of cool things and do some tricks with your iPhones too, right?
Absolutely. Or, gosh, I have a Samsung S24. The thing is crazy good, and it can do something that no iPhone can do, and that is 10x optical. It blows my mind every day I use it. So iPhone, Samsung, Google, they're all outstanding. The cameras are amazing. And then you have some software, if you need it, to maybe up-res. But your story, that's the kind of story I love to hear, when you're really making a difference in someone's life through photography. And one of my favorite tips is to just make a print and put it in a frame for someone, or just a mat. Let's say you want to ship it to someone. If you want to blow their mind, and Russ, you have, I don't know how many selfies you have, but imagine you just met someone and you at a conference. Now you can just put it into a mat. Let's say a lot of mats in the US are 8x10 on the outside, maybe 4x6 inches on the inside. We all know, at least in the US, and Canada, what the cost of a 4x6 print is. It's almost free. And you send that to them, they will treasure that for a lifetime. And I love sharing that tip because so few people do that.
That's great. That goes along with sending paper cards. Go ahead, Russ.
I was just going to say that hashtag Russ Selfies, there's thousands of them online, and there's probably many more thousands in my cameras and my digital thing. But here's one other thing that I love. You could get your wonderful picture of Russ and Scott and the experience live with Russ and Scott on a mug too. There you go. And that makes you feel warm and fuzzy every morning when you drink your coffee, right, Scott?
Yeah, absolutely. Andrew, we were talking briefly as we were in the extended green room period that you're also into games and puzzles. And I was part of a startup company where we had a physical board game and had been involved in the New York Toy Fair. And oddly enough, in February of 2020, I got invited and went to the New York Toy Fair for a game that I had developed. And that was right before the world changed. Let's talk about some of your game experiences.
Absolutely. And I've been to 2 New York Toy Fairs.
Unbelievable experience there.
What an amazing, amazing thing. And I've been to a number of other shows. So this all came from my, first of all, interest in photography, which then led to me having exhibitions. And one of them was in a really nice retail establishment, but it wasn't a gallery. So when the pieces came down for whatever reason, they just sort of put them all together and they got scratched and damaged. And I was a little bit sad. But then I said to someone who I knew in Dallas, Texas, who has a company called Frame Destination, named Mark Rogers, I said, can you make me custom bubble bags for each of my pieces? So he said, well, I'll give it a try with whatever material I have. I use bubble. I have the sealing machine. And he did, and they worked. And we then found this really nice, we actually kind of engineered a really nice quality bubble that you could see through. And he purchased a really nice machine. So this whole process led to a product that he has been selling for over 15 years. And that invention journey taught me the power of being an inventor, of pitching. And then I kept seeing all these people on LinkedIn making games and getting licenses from toy companies. I'm like, that's so interesting. Like, I love games. I love playing. Why don't I try? So I learned and I learned and I learned. I started attending events. I started going to pitch events. And now I have about 25 games that I routinely pitch. And they're all sort of, in different stages. Some are being looked at. Some I just need to keep following up, or I need to make a small change and then send it again. So it's so exciting to be a toy and game inventor. And it all came from my love of photography.
That's fun. Yeah, I was involved with a game called Pajaggle, which is a physical board game. And one of the things I did was create ways to play that game. Some cooperative, some competitive, and
Nice.
it was a blast. And that got sold to a company that basically shelved it for a few years, but they just released it this year again, re-released it. So
Wow.
it's exciting. It's exciting to see that out there. But the toy fair in itself, I remember the Mattel booth.
Yes.
2.5 stories tall,
Yeah.
guard at the door, invite only, crazy
Yeah.
place.
It really is. And it will open your mind. It will also make you smile, because at every turn, there's either an influencer, there in interviewing someone, and you get to see a demo, or someone doing some amazing thing with magic, or just some art display here and there. Like out of nowhere, there may be this incredible art display. So I highly recommend. Obviously, there are some requirements that you have to have in order to go to that particular show. But regardless, if you are sort of related to the industry in some way, just go ahead and visit their website.
Well, I just think it's so amazing. We talk about, thinking outside the box and all the things you can do with photography and all the things you can do that just to enjoy life. And Andrew, you are just really an inspiration. And I just want to thank you so much. As we're getting ready to wrap up today, I've got to be the responsible host. And I need to ask you what your gold nugget of today's conversation is, what you really want people to remember from our conversation, and then let everybody know how they get in touch with you so they can explore things further. And your books, by the way, we want to make sure and get those in the comments. So if we haven't got those in there, if you can actually answer those in the comments later, that'd be great.
Mhm.
But go ahead.
Absolutely. Okay. Number one thing is to back up your social media. Sometimes people cumulatively have spent hundreds of hours, let's say on LinkedIn or on Facebook or Instagram, and you don't even, if you like, you could wake up the next day and it could all be gone. So with that, LinkedIn makes it super simple. I have an easy way. You can just go to backup.fm and just get my newsletter, and you'll see a PDF, and there's a step-by-step instructions for backing up your LinkedIn. That's just one way, but you can also look it up yourself. Facebook, Instagram, whatever is important to you, please back it up. Please learn how. Don't use a third-party tool. Just learn how to do it right inside of the app, and it will not just give you peace of mind. In LinkedIn's case, you get like an Excel document with all of your contacts. Imagine how much more valuable that can be than just, for example, doing a search on LinkedIn. So that's probably the most important thing that I can share today. And as far as people can find me, I mentioned the easiest way is to go to backup.fm. There you'll see some of my books. You also see a way to chat with me, and you'll also find a way to sign up for my newsletter, which you'll get access to my vault, which with a lot of different things, including the backup blueprint that I mentioned earlier.
That is so awesome. That's so great. Well, listen, I'm telling you, Andrew, I'm going to take all that to heart. I am going to definitely start getting some of those photographs organized, and I've got to get up in my attic and do that anyway. So get some of that organized so I get some actual copies of some of those old photographs that mean so much to me. And, another way that I'm probably going to do that as well is maybe give a few of those photographs away to other parts of my family, because then you can share some of that. And especially because you end up with duplicates of so many photos a lot of times in your collection. So thanks so much for being here with us today. We're going to say goodbye on screen, but hang tight for just a minute. The green room will be right there.
All right. Thank you both.
Thanks.
Well,
Scott,
some great practical
amazing
advice. As I said, having gone through a house fire and lost a lot of stuff, I encourage people, go to backup.fm and learn the tips.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, having worked for a restoration company, as you know, for years, I also learned not only fires, but what if you have pipes break and water damage and all of them flood as well? That will also damage all of your photographs and things like that. So people need to think about those things. And I definitely am right up there with everybody else.
It only takes a little bit of water if you printed those things with an inkjet too. A little bit of water, and that picture is not fun anymore.
No. Oh my goodness. Wow. Well, okay. Listen, everybody, thanks for being here today. We're here at 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time every week, or 9 a.m. Texas Standard Time for your viewing and listening pleasure. We're on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook Live. And then it converts to actually a video podcast. It sits on LinkedIn and YouTube forever, and Facebook for 30 days. Then, wait, there's more. It converts to audio podcast on Spotify. So if you can't watch, you can listen. And we would love for you to like, subscribe, comment on all of those places. In fact, if you're watching with us today here, please make a comment and say hi, because we just appreciate everybody here. We got started a little bit late today, and so sometimes that makes it a little rough for everybody. So if you're watching on replay, please put hashtag Team Replay. We appreciate everybody watching, no matter how you do that. Yolanda, it's great to see you here this morning, and great to have so many faithful viewers and listeners in this community. And we're just blessed to have you all here. Scott, any last words before we get rolling?
It's just great to talk to Andrew today and to learn some practical tips. And I just trust that people will take advantage of these holiday times when families coming together. Put the word out, bring those pictures together, get your watch and use it as a little shutter release. That was a cool tip.
That's it for sure. And my tip is keep smiling. Yeah! And until next time, enjoy your week and enjoy
the experience.
See you, everybody. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to The Experience live with Russ and Scott. If you enjoyed today's show, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or subscribe on YouTube. See you next time.